Hi guys, so for this video we're using double pointed needles as well as circular needles, and the yarn that I'm using is in size 4 medium. So now I will start by making a slip knot. So a slip knot already counts as 1 stitch, and now I need to cast on 2 more stitches so you can have 3 in total. So 1 and 2. So see, we have 3 in total. Now for row 1, I'll turn my work around, twist it and place it on a needle, just like that. So now I will, for row 2, I will knit all the stitches throughout row 2. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this completes row 2. Now for row 3, I'll turn my work around. Again, I'll increase 1 stitch by just grabbing this yarn, twisting it, and placing this loop on our left needle. Now for row 3, I will knit all the stitches. Now for row 4, I'll turn my work around. Again, I'll increase 1 stitch. Then I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 4. So this completes row 4. Now for row 5, I'll turn my work around. Again, I will increase 1 stitch. And now for row 5, I will knit all the stitches. Now for row 6, I'll turn my work around. Then I'll increase 1 stitch in the beginning of a row. Then I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 6. So this completes row 6. Now for row 7, I'll turn my work around. I'll increase 1 stitch in the beginning of row 7. Then I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 7. Now for row 8, I'll turn my work around. Then I increase 1 stitch at the beginning of row. Then I increase 1 stitch at the beginning of a row. And now I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 8. Now for row 9, so this completes row 8. Now for row 9, I'll turn my work around. Then I'll increase 1 stitch at the beginning of row 9. And now I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 9. Now this completes row 9. So now for row 10, I'll turn my work around. Then I increase 1 stitch at the beginning of row 10. and now I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 10. Complete row 10. Now for row 11, I'll turn my work around and I increase one stitch at the beginning of row 11, and now I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 11. So this completes row 11. Now for row 12, I'll turn my work around, then I will increase one stitch at the beginning of row 12. And now I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 12. So this completes row 12. Now for row 13, I'll turn my work around and I increase one stitch at the beginning of row 13. Then I'll knit all the stitches throughout row 13. So this completes row 13. Now for row 14, I'll turn my work around, then I increase one stitch at the beginning of row 14. And now for row 14, I'll knit all the stitches. So this completes row 14. Now for row 15, I'll turn my work around. Then from now we will not be increasing. We'll just knit all the stitches on our needle. So I will just knit all the stitches on my needle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we have now 15 stitches. So this completes row 15. As you can see here, we have 15 stitches because we did not increase for row 15. So we repeat row 15 and we just continue knitting these 15 stitches until our work reaches our desired length, and then we'll come back and do the next step. So we continue working in these 15 existing stitches until our work reaches 19 inches. And now we need to make the same edge on the left as we did on the right. But here we increased, but now we need to decrease to make it look exactly the same. I'll start by knitting the first stitch, and then I will knit these next 2 stitches together. So this will be our first decrease. And then we'll knit all the stitches throughout this row, one by one. Now I'll turn my work around. Again, I'll knit the first stitch, then I'll decrease these next 2 stitches. So I'll knit these 2 stitches together, and then again I'll knit all the stitches throughout this row. So we are decreasing only in the beginning of the row. Now I'll turn my work around. Then I'll knit the first stitch. Then I will knit these next 2 stitches together. Again, I'll knit all the stitches throughout this row. I'll turn my work around. I'll knit the first stitch, then I'll knit these next 2 stitches together. Now I'll knit all the stitches throughout this row. I'll turn my work around. I'll knit the first stitch, then I'll knit these next 2 stitches together. Now I'll knit all the stitches throughout this row. Now again, I'll turn my work around. I'll knit the first stitch, then I'll knit the next 2 stitches together. So I'll repeat this, and now I'll knit all the stitches throughout this row. So we repeat this until we have only 3 stitches left on our needles. So we just decrease in the beginning of each row in stitch 2 and 3. And when we have 3 stitches left, we will finish off and we move to the next step. Now if you have 3 stitches left, we'll just finish off. So I'll knit the first stitch, then I'll knit the second stitch, then I insert this left needle through this first stitch and pass it over the second stitch. I'll knit the next stitch, then I insert my left needle through this first stitch and pass it over the second stitch. And now I will just chain 1, cut the yarn. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this around my head with a double knot. See? Just make sure to do it around your head. Now I'm going to put a stitch marker right here. And 1 right here, and now I'm going to untie it. Now from this stitch marker all around to the next stitch marker, we're going to pull out some stitches. I'm going to use a crochet hook for that, but sometimes it's easier. I thought I had some thinner circular needles, but I have no idea where I put them. It's a little bit too big, but they will work too. But it's ideal to use one from 5.5 to 6.5 millimeters. But I have no idea what size are those in. And plus those have a long cable, and honestly I don't like making hats with a long cable. So right here through this first chain, right here where the stitch marker is, I'll insert my hook, then insert my hook through this loop and pull through. Now I will chain one, then again through the same loop I'll insert my hook, and then I'll draw a loop. Now right here, see where this next loop is, I will draw one stitch. Now through all of these small loops we'll draw one stitch. It's better to have more than less in this case. I'm going to transfer these stitches through these circular needles. And then I'll repeat the same process. So let's see how many stitches we have so far. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66, 68, 70, 72, 74, 76, 78, 80, 82, 84, 83. So now for row 1, I will knit one, then purl one, knit one, then purl one, knit one, then purl one. So I'll continue knitting one and purling one throughout row 1. So now that you're working around, this will be called row 1. So we just continue knitting one and purl one until we reach the end of this row. So here for row 1 we knitted one, purled one, knitted one, purled one. Now for row 2 we will switch it. So we'll start by purling one, so that the stitch that we knitted in the previous row I'll purl, and then I'll knit the next stitch that I've purled in the previous row. So for row 1 we'll knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, and for row 2 we'll purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one. So knit one, purl one, knit one, and purl one, knit one, purl one. So I'll continue knitting one and purling one throughout row 2. Now for the pattern, I will repeat rows 1 and 2. So for one row we knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. For a second row we purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. So we repeat row 1 and 2 until our work measures 8 inches from bottom to the top. And now we'll start to decrease. So we'll start by decreasing these first 2 stitches. We'll knit them together. And the next 6 stitches we'll knit 1 and purl 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We still have to repeat the pattern though. And 6. And now I'll knit stitches 7 and 8 together. So that will be our next decrease. Again now next 6 stitches I'll knit 1 and purl 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the next 2 stitches I'll knit together. So stitch 7 and 8 will knit together. Again now for the next 6 stitches we'll knit 1 and purl 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then now we'll knit together stitch 7 and 8. So we repeat this throughout this row. For 6 stitches we'll knit 1, purl 1, and then we'll decrease stitches 7 and 8. Now for the next row I will switch to double pointed needles. So you see here how in the previous row where we have decreased, see right there. So through these first 2 stitches we'll decrease, so we'll knit these 2 stitches together. And then next 5 stitches I'll knit 1 and purl 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now I'll knit these next 2 stitches together, so that will be our next decrease. And the next 5 stitches I'll knit 1 and purl 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now I'll knit these next 2 stitches together. Now for the next 5 stitches I will knit 1 and purl 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now I'll knit these next 2 stitches together. So we repeat this throughout this row. For 5 stitches we'll knit 1 and purl 1, and for stitches 6 and 7 we'll knit together. Now for the next row, right here through these next 2 chains, see, I will decrease, so I'll knit them together. Well, not chains, stitches really. Now next 4 stitches I'll knit 1 and purl 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll knit these next 2 stitches together. Next 4 stitches I will purl 1 and knit 1. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'll decrease the next 2 stitches. Repeat this throughout this row. For 4 stitches I'll knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and then I'll decrease the next 2 stitches. Now for the next row I'll knit these 2 stitches together. Then for the next 3 stitches I'll knit 1 and purl 1. So 1, 2, and 3. Now I'll knit the next 2 stitches together. And for next 3 stitches I'll knit 1 and purl 1. 1, 2, and 3. And next 2 stitches I'll knit together. So for this row, for 3 stitches we'll knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and then we'll knit the next 2 stitches together. Now for the next row, I'll start by knitting these first 2 stitches together. Then for the next 2 stitches I'll purl 1 and knit 1. For the next 2 stitches I'll knit them together. Then for the next 2 stitches I will purl 1 and knit 1. I'll decrease these next 2 stitches, so I'll knit them together. Then I'll purl 1 and knit 1. I'll knit the next 2 stitches together. Then I will purl 1 and knit 1. So I'll repeat this throughout this row. I'll knit 2 stitches together, then I'll purl 1 and knit 1. Knit 2 stitches together, purl 1 and knit 1. Now for the next row, through these next 2 stitches, I will knit them together. Then I'll purl the next stitch, knit the next 2 stitches together, purl the next stitch, knit the next 2 stitches together, purl the next stitch, knit the next 2 stitches together, purl the next stitch, knit the next 2 stitches together, purl the next stitch, knit the next 2 stitches together, purl the next stitch. So I'll repeat this throughout this row. I'll knit 2 stitches together and I'll purl the next stitch. Now for the next row, I'll knit these next 2 stitches together. Then I'll knit the next 2 stitches together. 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 So I'll repeat this throughout this row. I'll just continue knitting 2 stitches together. So now with the yarn needle, I'm going to close this loop. So this is how a finished hat looks. So it's like 11 inches wide from here to here, and long 9 inches, and wide part is like 8.5 inches but without a stretch. Now when we put this on, we'll just make a double knot right here. This actually will look much better when you put it on. But when I put it on the mannequin and take pictures, you'll see that it will look much better. So this is all for today, guys. I hope you like this video, and thank you so much for watching. So this is all for today, guys. I hope you like this video, and thank you so much for watching.